All right, folks, let's move right along and bring in our great friend Newt Gingrich, former House Speaker and Fox News contributor, great friend and mentor. Newt, just a word. You undoubtedly heard the colloquy between General Keane and myself regarding Iran. I want to get to Britain and Charles III in just a moment, but your quick thoughts on the Iranian story.
Well, I'm much more pessimistic than you and Jack Keane. Remember, the Russians were occupying Berlin as Hitler committed suicide. We had bombed Germany pretty darn thoroughly. The Missouri entered Tokyo Harbor after 2 nuclear weapons went off, after we had totally firebombed Tokyo. And the fact is, the Japanese still might not have surrendered if the emperor didn't say enough. So I think you have a religiously driven regime, which for 47 years has chanted death to America. You have a younger generation who are now in control because we killed their parents. And you got guys in their 40s and early 50s, totally dedicated, and they think they're winning. They don't think they're losing. And I think this is a much harder problem, and I think it's going to require us to genuinely defeat them, not just try to scare them, not just bomb them, but if we can't create an insurgency from among the 90% of the Iranians who hate the regime, and if we can't open up the Persian Gulf so that oil flows for the world economy, we are in real trouble. And I think Washington is kidding itself about how hard this is. And I've said this from day, actually, I said it before the war started. If this regime is still in power when this is over, we were defeated because they will immediately tie into North Korea, China, and Russia and begin to rebuild their capacity to do everything we hate. So I'm much more pessimistic than you and Jack are.
All right, well, let's put that pessimism to one side for a moment. Let's have a little more fun. I'm reading you. America has come a long way with King Charles III. I'm reading you in the New York Sun, where we both write occasionally. And there's no question Charles III is a lot better than George III. No question about that. But I have a question for you. Let's look at the history of this thing. Okay? You and I believe in free market capitalism. The Declaration of Independence in the United States basically launches free market capitalism. And one way or another, with a few glitches here and there, we've held on to this for about 250 years and done rather well with it. Okay? Now, Adam Smith was the father of free market capitalism in Glasgow and Edinburgh, the Scottish Enlightenment, but we listened to him. The British never really did. They never had, a few years of Margaret Thatcher, they never really followed Adam Smith and free market capitalism. So I just had to wonder and scratch my head. I mean, right now, they're in the throes of some terrible labor socialism, for heaven's sake. So while Charles is a likable guy, and I'm, hope that the whole thing goes beautifully. Historically, you're a historian, I'm an amateur historian. It was us, it was we who used free market capitalism. We imported it from Glasgow. They never really used it.
Well, it's one of the great ironies. Let me say, first of all, though, in all fairness, Calista and I watched King Charles' speech, which, as a former speaker, I thought was both brilliantly written and brilliantly delivered. I thought it was a very helpful speech at a time when you have a British Prime Minister who is at best crazy, and at worst, I don't want to be crazy, but the fact is Starmer's just unbelievably bad. Maybe the worst British Prime Minister in modern history. King Charles had the right tone, the right attitude. I do think it's a great irony that in 1776, as we're writing the Declaration of Independence, that Adam Smith is publishing The Wealth of Nations. And most of our founding fathers knew that.
Yeah.
They were very conversant with what he was writing. And we modeled our country literally in the Constitution. You'll see references that clearly come out of Adam's analysis of how the world works. Now, you're right. The British had a very long run because they were the first country to really develop on a big scale the Industrial Revolution. They were enormously wealthy for a very long time, but they never could break out of their class system. So those of us who love various British movies and TV shows about the aristocracy need to understand that aristocracy crippled the development of British entrepreneurial capitalism, and as a result, they became relatively weaker, and that's still true. And of course, with people like Starmer, I mean, he is nutty enough, he could actually be a Democrat. He's that far to the left. I loved the king coming here. I think it was good for both countries. I thought his speech, that's the first speech I've seen in years where both parties stood and applauded. Now, just psychologically as a country in our 250th anniversary, it's nice to have something that both sides can stand and applaud. Then we'll go back to fight. I do think your point, though, we need to remember what works is entrepreneurial capitalism.
Right.
What works is allowing people to come here in order to create wealth. And when they do create that, it makes us dramatically more effective. And by the way, that wealth then bleeds out to the whole rest of the planet.
True. True.
You know,
true free market capitalism.
We need to emphasize that.
No kings, no classes, no class warfare. I mean, whatever the Democrat, look, they produced John Maynard Keynes, and actually, Karl Marx did a lot of his work writing in London, I might add. So I'll leave that aside. I mean, we imported the best from Britain, and that probably includes their men's clothing and their women's clothing. But that's a separate subject. But I'm just saying, you know what? We got the best of this deal. Charles is a nice fellow. I met him years ago when he was still Prince, but he's a nice fellow, there's no question about that, and I'm glad President Trump likes him, and I'm glad there's lots of applause. But Newt Gingrich, free market capitalism, we imported it from Glasgow, and we put it to work, and that's why we're the strongest country in the world. That's all I'm saying.
And look, we need to be prepared to defend this.
Yes.
We need to be prepared to go toe-to-toe with the Democrats on the hard left and explain to the country how poor we would be, how weak we would be, how poverty-ridden we would be. And of course, you see that. I mean, look at California, look at New York, look at Illinois. There's a reason people are moving. And they're moving away from bad government, high taxes, big regulations, and frankly, thug-like machines that run over the people.
The only thing worse than New York is Britain. Take a look at what this guy Starmer's doing. Anyway, we don't have enough time. I mean, it's just awful. It's just awful.
You could do Larry, sometime you ought to do an entire special.
I know.
on what's happening in Britain, because it's so bad. And then you could do a second special on what's happening in California and decide which is worse.
Okay. Newt Gingrich, the best of the best. Wonderful to see you. And we'll talk some more about all this. Anyway.